Hey class, thanks for watching my presentation. My name is Danielle Plourde and I am here to tell you about your future in media technologies, or Chapter 25. If you look at slide 2, you will see what we will be discussing during this video. How you can use the information and technologies Grant has laid out in your future, 5 simple steps to creating a business plan, guidelines that can help you become an entrepreneur, and the only constant in media technologies. If you look at slide 3, it discusses technology in your future. In this chapter, Grant lays out different ways that you as a professional can use what you have learned throughout this course in the book. He says, if you're entrepreneurial, you can use it to get rich. If you're academically inclined, you can use it to inform research and analysis of the next generation of communication technology. If you're planning a career, you can use it to help choose the organizations where you will work or find new opportunities for you or your employer. What he is saying is, regardless of what you want to do, you will always be surrounded by technology. This technology will be ever changing, and the cycle of innovation will always be working. What we have learned throughout this course should, however, make it easier to decide when to adopt a new technology. If you go to the next slides, you'll see that we will be discussing the 5 simple steps of creating a business plan as outlined by Grant in this chapter. Steps 1 and 2 are on this slide, 3 and 4 are on the next, and 5 is on the 6th slide. Please follow along. Step 1 is the idea. Everything starts with an idea. You must have something new or improved to bring to the table to create a new business. However, Grant argues that this, although being the first step, is not the most important. This is because many people will have the same idea. Execution is what distinguishes each idea from the other. Step 2 is the team. The team you are bringing together to start this journey will be the backbone of your company. Each person brought in should have in-depth insight and experience in each managing position you will assign to them. Putting together a group of only like-minded people is a big mistake because you will not have any outside points of view or experience to see how different people with different viewpoints can see what you are planning and putting in front of everybody. The group will work to identify different divisions in the company, and each person will head one of the divisions. On the next slide, step 3 is the competitive analysis. This analysis consists of background research into each surrounding company that may be considered competition. Through this report, you will look in depth at each of these companies, strengths, weaknesses, your company's opportunities, and threats. This portion of the report is called the SWOT analysis, or strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat analysis. By using this, you can identify where your company may lack and build in those areas. You can also use it to identify where your competition might lack and get a leg up on them in those areas, reaching your target audience where they may not be able to. Step 4 is finance. This step includes the creation of a financial spreadsheet that will be used to balance what you are bringing in with all of your expected expenses, including hiring personnel and what each person will need in the company. Through the finance step, you can decide how to finance your startup, whether it is through venture capitalists, where someone who invests in your business gets a share of the ownership, or bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is using loans to help build the company slowly, using initial revenues to pay back the loans and really get the business to start growing. This process, unlike using a venture capitalist, keeps the entrepreneur in complete control of the company and what the company is making. However, it's a slower growth process and limited financial resources. On the next slide, step 5 is the marketing plan. The marketing plan helps determine the business's target audience or market, essentially who's interested in purchasing or using the product or service that the company will be providing. This plan will include how your business wants to reach them. It should lay out all marketing, advertising, and promotions that will be used. It should use both old and new technology in order to reach the largest number of constituents possible. The hard part of this 5-step plan is really putting in the work and the hours it takes to make it successful. Every emergency and outside force must be accounted for and have a plan for what happens if there's a market crash, or what happens if something else from the outside comes and really impacts your company's sales or reputation, anything. It all has to be accounted for. So the 2 most important factors in building a company are interpersonal relationships and luck, for those reasons, because it is so hard to build a company that really who you're building the company with and on is incredibly important. You will see that slide 7 has guidelines that Grant has laid out through his own experience that will help you on your journey to entrepreneurship. He says, ideas are not as important as execution. This goes back to what I was saying earlier, that a lot of people are going to have the same idea. It's your execution and dedication that's going to put your brand above the rest. The next guideline is to protect your ideas. Get a copyright, trademark, a patent, anything that makes what you create legally yours. There's no substitute for hard work. Entrepreneurs are at work 24/7. It's not a 9-to-5 job. You must always be available if something comes up, and must always be dedicated to the growth of your ideas. In the same way, there's no substitute for time away from work. Some time away from work can help refresh your brain, give new ideas, and a fresh look. You can even find inspiration from the world around you. The next guideline is who you know is more important than what you know. You cannot build something on yourself. Who you decide to surround yourself with will make or break your idea. You must have strong, competent individuals along the way to help you create the business that you have been working on. The next guideline is to keep learning. Learning is something that everybody must continue to do. There's something new to learn every day. On top of knowing the ins and outs of your specified field, it's important to know about the world around you. This helps to see different perspectives and may help create a completely new idea to help build on your current idea. You have to create realistic goals. Celebrate successes and keep your goals realistic. By doing this, you can see the growth of your company in small batches. And as your company reaches these goals, they're crossed off the list, and you can see your small successes as they build to big ones. And lastly, give back. Your ideas have come from the work of those before you. Don't be afraid to reach out and help others the same way that your mentors have helped you. On the next slide, the only constant in media technologies is change. It is an ever-changing field. Basic technologies that can change the industry come around every 10 to 20 years. It is important to be flexible about adopting new technologies for this reason. There are, however, opportunities every day to use current technologies in ways that are new and innovative that can really help create something different. The cycle of innovation is always in motion. It's important to notice the cycle of decline as well, which refers to knowing when it is time to stop using an outdated form of media technology. This concludes my presentation. However, on the next slide, I have a few questions to be answered in the discussion board posts. Question 1. What do you think is the most important of the 5 keys to becoming a successful entrepreneur, and why? Question 2. How will you use what you have learned throughout this textbook and course in your future? And lastly, question 3. How will you know when it's time to adopt a new technology? Thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure learning with each of you.